Hey, Grievers and Groovers. How's it going? It's 102 degrees.
Or more.
Yeah, or more in the desert. And I know that, it's a little dark with our faces, but, and we lean back and you can't see, but I wanted to go.
We're sweaty.
I know, we're very sweaty. That's why I have my Whitney Houston do-rag, my Luther Vandross do-rag, and I'm still in my bikini, which you will not be seeing the rest of. But I wanted to go live outside because you can have maybe a tiny bit of the desert in the background. So we're in the Mojave Desert. This is my lovely soul friend, Sharon. And Sharon works for an airline. And today, it's so great. It just is a coinky-dink that she's here with me for this live because we're talking about traveling while grieving. And there is no other friend that I've ever had in my life that travels more and has a better traveling spirit than this one right here. And her husband, who I'm also friends with, who has his own personal little koozie, beer koozie or cozy, either way you want to talk about it. So, hi, Amy Bell. So let me know if you can see us okay and if you can hear us okay. You can really feel what it's like for us to sweat our balls off here from the desert. We're in Palm Desert. And I spent the day at the pool and then watching the England match. And then you watched the England match with
yes.
me, but went golfing. I know.
That's why I'm sweating so much because I just got off the golf course.
Seriously, we're sacrificing, we're schwitzing for you so you can have a lovely background instead of the, timeshare condo wall. So it was a little more boring inside. Hi, Kaylin. How's it going? Okay, good. They can see us and hear us. So we're talking about traveling while grieving, and before we get to that, I just want to say really quickly, sorry to England for losing at the World Cup. Croatia went on, so now they're in the finals against France, and my friend Christina Kuzmic and I had a little friendly rivalry. She is from Croatia. She was cheering for Croatia. She told me she told me to mention that Croatia won, of course, because she was rubbing it in my face. And then she also said to mention that, to let you guys know, since, I'm the death girl, we talk about dying and advanced planning. She said, tell everybody that I can die happy now that Croatia is going to. Yeah, I know, but hopefully you don't. And then you can wait until Croatia wins the actual World Cup instead of just making it to the finals. But anyway, congratulations, England, on, a job well done. And congratulations, Croatia, for going through. Now beat those French people.
That's okay. Right. And one other thing that's really ironic is that Amy and I only see each other once in a while. And we happen to be together when England plays.
Yes.
And we met in England. We worked together in London.
That's right. And what's so crazy is that I got some home movies transferred over from the 90s. And guess who was in them? Us. When we were younger. Yeah. I know, to fit into those stonewash high-waisted jeans once more. But anyway, so the reason I met Sharon was when I moved to London. I lived there for 7 years. Feel free. Yeah. We're sharing the sweaty towel. And we both worked at the same place, and it was filled with a lot of 20-something travelers. And, a lot of people in their 20s travel around, but, Sharon and her husband, Mike, kept it up, and they've just continued traveling, and it's your passion.
Yes,
I mean,
that's all I do.
Yeah.
I work to travel, and that's it.
Exactly.
I don't buy clothes. I don't buy handbags. I don't buy shoes. I just travel.
And I love her Facebook page because it's just like, I'm in Turkey, I'm in the Bahamas, I'm in Antarctica or wherever, but you're going to Antarctica, which is exciting.
Which is going to be way more comfortable than this heat.
Yeah, which I love. But anyway, so, downer time, Downerville, as you all know, Grievers and Groovers, Sharon is a fellow griever. And, your brother Danny passed away almost a year ago in July, and he had cancer and left behind 2 girls and just so many family members that loved him, and we just miss him. I mean, I got to witness how close they were and how fun, what a fun relationship you guys had constantly.
Make me drink faster.
I know, right?
Happy hour.
Yeah, every time you start to get tearful, let's drink our feelings. But but we're talking about traveling while grieving, and to me, it really helped because I traveled after my mom passed away and after my dad passed away.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that. So did you travel directly after Danny died, or how many months?
2 months after, because the first 2 months I was pretty much just curled up on my bed.
Yeah.
And then 2 months after, I went to this guy and I said, hey, what if we just go to LAX and see if we can get on a plane to Tahiti? I could grieve in turquoise water just as easy.
I love that. I can grieve in turquoise water just as well as on the couch.
For real, you can.
I like it.
So we got on the flight and we got to Maria, and we're in the most beautiful water in Maria on the best beach. And I was just so sad, you know, because of my brother. But at the same time, I was like, God, this is so beautiful. It's like I can easily grieve here. And it just kind of helped a lot because, you know, I wasn't in the same spot. I wasn't in my room and then in my living room and then in my dining room and, you know, feeling all those horrible things. I was out in turquoise water. And yeah, I still cried in the turquoise water.
Sure.
But, you know, it was a little bit easier.
Right. And we were talking about it, and I want to know about you guys too. You know, like, have you guys traveled while you're grieving? Have you found that it helped? Did you find that it hurt? Did people judge you for it? That's the thing too.
I've been judged.
Yeah, you got a little bit of judgment there.
Yeah.
And I did as well, you know, but I say as long as you are good with the deceased, and because I know that Danny would love that you decided to have some self-care, go somewhere with turquoise water, and, you know, be sad, but then be thankful that you're able to travel and be there, you know?
Yeah, and it's what I do. I mean, so I have to also think about myself and get back to my normal self. And, you know, that's the hardest part because I have survivor's guilt and then I just kind of thought, God, I just got to get back to who I am and what I do. And going to Tahiti really helped. And, you know, Tahiti doesn't suck.
I know, Tahiti does not suck.
No,
I've never been.
No, it's pretty amazing.
I would love to go. But then we were talking too about, you know, after someone passes away, it's so hard because you've got to then, you know, do all the death duties, but then you also have to create your new normal.
Right.
And, you know, for me, it was just good to get out of my place where I was surrounded by things of, you know, everybody that died. And I mean, I love being surrounded by their things. It's very comforting, but at the same time, to travel and to go somewhere new and to be away from all the death duties and all of the kind of responsibility of grief that comes with that, you know, it's very liberating.
It is. And then plus when you're in a beautiful place, you think, God, the world's still beautiful. So my darkness is only inside.
Yes.
There's still beautiful things out there. And, you know, it was really good that we did that. And we've been traveling since, of course. And but I do get judged a little bit by my parents. And I think, what are you doing? I was like, I'm doing what I've been doing since like 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's who you are.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about Sharon and her husband Mike is they still have that traveling spirit. Even though they've, you know, gotten older, they still have the travel spirit. And so I have a key, even though I'm hardly in San Diego anymore. They live in San Diego. I live in Los Angeles. They've given me a key to their place. And I know that if I go at the spur of the moment concert or something, that I'm welcome at their place, you know, and their place always has an open door, and mine does as well. And that's kind of the traveling spirit. So Kaylin says, after my mom died and my siblings and I started dismantling her house, I drove from Corvallis Corvallis, Oregon to Athens, Georgia in a U-Haul truck full of treasures. Not really a vacation, but definitely a great trip. Well, yeah, that's it. You know, it's not necessarily a vacation. It could be a trip to sprinkle your loved one's ashes somewhere. You know, that's not considered a vacation.
No, it's not.
No, you know.
Let's just get out on the open road, take some deep breaths, and look around and see that, you know, the world's going to still go on, even though that your heart hurts so much.
Ugh. And it is. It's so heavy. Kaylin says, I grieved behind the wheel. Yeah, it's true. You know? And I mean, I can remember after my mom died, a year after my mom died, I decided to drive across the country and do good to go pop-ups in different cities. And it was good for the soul. And it was good to meet other people who were going through similar things. And you know, just being in nature. We've talked about this before about positive coping skills with nature, with grieving, but being in nature, being a part of something, like you said, that's beautiful and kind of bigger than you are, is healthy, I believe, you know. And When you're in your car all by yourself, you can talk to your dead loved one, which I always do.
Or cry.
Or cry.
If you cry too much, you got to pull over.
I know.
Which I'm sure that
exactly.
Kaylin has done.
I know.
On the road trip.
Right. Kaylin, did you have to have a break at a rest stop? You fill the tank with gas and then sob. And then eat your feelings.
Right.
No. But I remember going to the Grand Canyon after my dad died.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's a very sort of cinematic, especially with the song, you know, you're just like, your song comes on the radio and it's very cinematic and yeah, it's intense, but so healthy. I think it does, it's, you know, everyone says when you're grieving, go out and exercise, leave the house.
And I know you have to get out of the fetus position you are in your bed first. You have to put on clothes. You actually have to open a door, and all those things are so hard.
Opening a door.
So
I know.
Yeah, no, just go do that.
Yeah. Go exercise.
Right.
It's just like
it's so easy.
But it is good to get out of the house and especially go, you know, just a different change of scenery, even if it's just a different. You know, sorry, I've got a critter crawling on my foot now. I'm in the desert. I have to beware.
Yeah, and we're sweating. I'm so sorry. Like I just played
it's all right.
18 holes and 100+ degrees. And yeah,
I know. And then she came into the condo and she was like, "Where are you?" And I texted. I'm like, "I'm about to go live out on the porch." And it's like, wait, it's air conditioned inside, but you want to go outside? But we're gonna wrap it up in like 10 minutes anyway. But Kaylin says, I felt like both my parents were with me on that trip and keeping me out of harm's way.
Aww.
I believe it too, you know, and before I would get in the car, I'd say, okay, spiritual support team, you know, my spirit guides and, you know, mom and dad, you know, look after me, let's have a safe trip and let's hopefully, you know, everything goes according to plan and I'm open to all good things, you know, so say a little prayer and, you know, get on the road and just I basically could have won a Grammy for Best Female Vocalist who sang songs whilst crying.
Nice.
But that's the great thing about when you're in the car by yourself. You can cry, you can sing, you can talk to your dead rellies.
Or you can stare into space.
Or you can stare into, I did a lot of staring into space.
Yeah, me too.
And, you know, funnily enough, after my dad died, I was listening to Jim James. He's the lead singer of My Morning Jacket. And he did a cover of the George Harrison song, All Things Must Pass. And I just listened to it on a loop like a crazy person. And I laid out on my friend's back porch because I was in Ohio. And I just can remember laying there and just gazing out. I mean, just literally that kind of 1,000-yard death stare, you know, that you have when you're grieving. It's just so intense and, you know, heavy. God, it's just the heaviness. Yeah. I mean, if there was a magic pill that you could take, I mean, sign me up for it, you know. It is. It's just so heavy.
But getting outside and going on just a small trip, I think just getting out of the darkness of your room and the darkness of your living room, I think that's really important. If you can do it. I mean, I know that when people tell you this is what you should do, it's like, yeah, it's not that easy.
Right.
And I know, because I've been there.
And, you know, we're not saying, you know, hey, go to the Bahamas when you don't have any money or anything like that.
Exactly.
It could literally, I mean, I go to the desert. I'm lucky that I live in LA and the desert's a 2-hour drive.
And it's cheap.
And you can find a cheap motel for $60 a night, or you can camp for free, which I've done, you know. So I'm just talking about just getting away, even if it's just for a day or, you know, even if it's just a couple hours, just going out of town, you know, like I'm from Dayton, even just like driving to Cincinnati, which is only like 40 minutes away, or, you know, who knows, but it's just good to kind of get out. And for me, we were talking earlier about this topic, traveling while grieving. It's just good to sort of see that life is going on, you know, see that life is continuing around you, even though it feels
positive people and the positive energy, like going to a concert, everyone's having fun and they're into the music. Get that, like, try to suck in some of that.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
I know, it is easier said than done. And I literally have gone back to grief therapy because, as you guys know, my cousin Billy passed away a couple weeks ago, and it's, you know, it kind of really has crept up on me, you know, and so I thought, oh, I need a little top up. I'm going to go back to grief therapy. And we were talking about it, and And I said, I'm really sad. It's like my mom, it was 6 years ago. My dad was 2 years ago. Like, should I be this sad? And
yes.
And well, this is it, and my therapist says, what do you tell the Grievers and Groovers on your Facebook page? What would you tell them if they said they were still sad? And I would say grief is a lifetime thing. You're going to be grieving forever. And it's just a process. It's a process of evolution, and sometimes it comes in harder waves, and sometimes it comes in easier waves. And like we're talking right now, and we're not crying, but we were crying,
Well, that's because
off and on.
I've been on a golf course for 3 hours hitting balls. So, hitting balls helps.
And having the Jesus juice to hit every once in a while kind of numbs the pain a little bit. But yeah, so Kaylin, when you went on your road trip, where did you go? I wanted to know where you went. You went from Corvallis all the way to Athens. So let's see, Oregon all the way to the south. So you kind of went through the heartland. Yeah, I love a cross-country trip. Yes. And even after my dad died, I went across the country. And, it's so funny when I look back on the photos, because I went to a lot of places I'd never been before. And I went with my mom's best friend, Beth, and we had a great time. But all the pictures of me, I've got my dad's hoodie, and I'm just like curled up in a ball, like laying on, a beach, laying on a rock at the Grand Canyon, or, insert area here. We went to Sedona, Arizona, and all these other places, but I just have, my dad's flannel shirt on, I haven't bathed, I'm in front of the Grand Tetons, like, hi, and that's another thing too.
So beautiful.
Well, this is it. The Grand Tetons were pretty effing grand.
Even if you feel like so dark inside, it's still beautiful.
And I love what we were talking about, how just to get out of that darkness into a light place,
Take those few steps, even though it's so hard. It took me so long. I'm not anyone to preach or anything. It took me longer probably than most people. But it happened.
Oh, so Kaylin said she went through Idaho. I love Idaho.
Oh.
Idaho. No.
Not anymore.
That's right.
Down this guy.
Down into Utah, and then into Wyoming. That is some beautiful, beautiful country. I detoured through my mom's hometown for a visit. Now that is the sweetest.
Was there a house that you went to, like an old house of your mom's?
Oh my gosh, that's so cute, Kaylin. I love that. And Utah is just gorgeous. Idaho, I'm not gonna lie, it was a smidge charisma free. That was a little bit of a charisma free drive, but beautiful countryside, but not a lot there. But what was I gonna say? Oh, so obviously we're talking about traveling while grieving, and I just want to briefly put in a plug for advanced planning, because Danny was diagnosed and didn't have any advanced planning, did he? Or did he?
No, not when he was diagnosed. And then he did only an online will that I just, happened to find. And thank God he printed it out and signed it, thank God. And that was it. But, I knew he wanted to be cremated. I didn't know what he wanted to do with his ashes. And so far, the only thing I've done with his ashes, the only trip that we've taken as adults together, we went to St. Thomas with a group of friends, and Danny went. And he loved the Caribbean water so much that when I went to the Turks and Caicos with my girlfriend, I brought some of his ashes and brought it in the water. But the sad thing is, I guessed that he would want that. I had to guess that he would, I don't know. I think the only thing that I know he wouldn't want with his ashes to be anywhere cold, because he liked more tropical places. But the guessing kind of sucks. We still don't know everything that he wanted. There were a lot of things that we had to figure out ourselves. And I knew him well enough that I think I made some pretty good guesses. But just, God, if he would have had things in writing, if I would have had his passwords, because I was the executor of the will. And being an executor when you're just trying to rummage through all the financial stuff,
I know, and that's just it. When you're feeling in this like deep cosmic pain, the last thing you want to do is have to answer questions in general, but then also answering questions that you don't have the answer to.
Well, plus I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
so you've never done it before.
No. And it's just, it would be hard for me even if I wasn't grieving, but grieving on top of it, Yeah. It was just like, I can't make decisions right now. I can't even like put on socks.
I know. It's like your brain is so, I know. It's so fun. I don't know how Kaylin managed to get across the country.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, what? Do I read a map? I don't know. Kaylin said that she went to the church where her parents were married.
Oh my God.
That sounds like a really beautiful healing trip. Hi, Sherry. Sherry has experienced a lot of grief. We're talking about traveling while grieving, and if it's a good thing. We obviously think it's a good thing. I mean, and it helped us, but it might not help you, and that's okay. There's no judgment, you know. But speaking of judgment, let's talk a little bit about the judgment, because a lot of people have very firm ideas of what grieving looks like. And in a bad way, and I mean, even me, I was just like, shouldn't I, why am I still really weepy? And and then my grief therapist said, Amy, you're not doing grieving wrong. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So there's a lot of self-judgment, but a lot of judgment from other people. Like, you shouldn't be having a good time, or you can't be a happy, positive person, but feel devastated and sad at the same time. It's just, it's so strange. And a lot of people think, well, that's my question to them is, okay, well, if you don't want me to travel while I'm grieving, what do you want me to do?
Right, exactly. Because you want me to stay curled on in a ball on my bed, because that's not.
Or just be like, why, God, why? It's just like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, also, like, things like my Facebook page doesn't match my life right now, because I don't really discuss on my Facebook page what's going on. My friends know. Other people, like acquaintances, they don't really need to know. So as far as they can see, I'm out partying and I'm traveling around the world and going to all these exotic places, playing golf all the time, and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I'm just trying to get better.
Yes.
So I'm trying to get back to my life. So if people judge me, I'm sad for you, because, I'm just doing what I can to get through today.
I know. It's just like, we're just focused on survival. Just a little thing called surviving through the day without your loved one.
And tomorrow might suck.
That could be a t-shirt, I think.
Yeah.
But what's so lovely is that, I was kind of grieving my cousin who lived in the desert, and dealing with all of the unknowns surrounding his passing has just been so upsetting. And out of the blue, this one is like, let's go to meet me in the desert, my treat, and so we're just like, we'll laugh and we'll talk and we'll cry and we'll grieve and we'll laugh some more. And we've had such a good time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I was just thinking by the pool today, it's like, you need TLC, not just the tender loving care, but you need talking, laughing, and crying. You definitely need those three things for sure.
And air conditioning.
Oh my God, we so need air conditioning. So we're gonna wrap it up. So I just wanna say, if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, please do, @GoodToGoPeace, and Twitter and all those good things. And we're gonna use this. I know, right? We should have been doing this the whole time. What were we thinking? I'm sorry, I'm slacking.
Because it takes energy to do that.
I know, this is a professional operation, you guys. But anyway, I encourage you guys to travel while you're grieving.
If you want.
If you want. And if you don't, then don't feel guilty. Don't think, oh man, I should be traveling, or I should be doing this. Don't, But just get your advanced planning in order, seriously. Talk to your loved ones. If something happens to your loved ones right now, would you know what they would want, And then just wrapping up very quickly, did you talk to Danny about his advanced planning at all, or?
Well, it was hard because he didn't have a set time of how long he was going to live, but we knew it would be pretty fast. So when we tried to talk a few times about it, he didn't want to talk about it sometimes because there's a little bit of denial. He thought he had more time than he did. So, it's a touchy subject. It's hard.
A touchy subject.
So I tried, but, at the same time, it's like I can either piss him off or I can enjoy my last days with him. So, I'll just take on the extra work.
Right.
It would have been nice if it was done.
Well, see, this is why I'm telling you guys, do it while you're healthy.
Yeah. Do it for your family. If you love them, do it.
Yeah. If you love your family, if you love your loved ones, get your advanced planning done while you're 100% healthy right now.
Right.
While you're young.
Ashes dumped at the dump.
Yeah, if you don't want your ashes left unclaimed at the crematorium, this is the thing. If you do it before, while you're young and healthy and you don't think you need it, it's still an abstract thing. It doesn't feel like a real thing. And so you really need to do it, And
you can be quirky.
And you can be quirky and you can be fun with it. And that's what Good to Go is all about. It's trying to make advanced planning accessible and easy. And, you know, the thing is, it's not depressing because, you know, you're not like, oh no, I'm thinking about dying. You're thinking about living
and
after you're talking
about
it.
easier for your loved ones.
Yeah, it's so easy. But, you know, obviously with, you know, because I gave you and Mike the departure files and stuff and went through those with you. So you were set. And then, you know, it's just one of those things where, oh, you could have talked to your brother, but then he's busy and life gets in the way and people don't think about it. And then he gets diagnosed, and then it's really weird to bring up because you don't want to say, oh, well, you're going to die, so you've got to do this. But here's the thing, we're all going to die.
Yes.
You know, no, even if we're not diagnosed right now, you know, so it's like, it's best to get it done. Oh, anyway, hi, Beth. Oh, Kaylin's like, bye, thank you. Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to go. Beth says, just updated mine the other day when I heard some good music I forgot to add. So she's working on her funeral playlist already. All right, well, we're sweating for you. You guys, we're going to go inside. Then we're going to have some drinks and go by the pool and talk about our loved ones.
Yes.
Because we keep them close, you
Drinks
know.
help.
All right, you guys, take care, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye. Okay, we're going to turn this off. Air conditioning.